Right. So today I'm going to talk about something very important in communication, which is storytelling. Right. Now, why storytelling is one of the most important skill that you should have in communication when you're learning communication, especially. A lot of people, come and ask me this question that, you must have seen on the screen now. You must have seen on the screen now the Jedi mind trick of mirroring in non-verbal communication, establishing rapport without through mirroring. Introduction that is basically highlights about power of storytelling. I'll be giving you the most example about it, the power of narrative in communication, and we will be talking more about a lot of things which are related to basically in communication but using this particular aspect.
Give it up for Atul Shinde.
And it will definitely be moving on for the next generation as well. There's nothing there is so many things have been advanced in communication, but nobody has beaten storytelling. Right, it's been going on for many generations because psychological, a process in which a brain functions accordingly, and we really like to connect with stories. Right, so how to use storytelling in communication? Let's understand what is this first Jedi mind trick of mirroring. Now, what is mirroring? Mirroring is something that if you're talking to someone, okay, about a particular topic, you're trying to make it, as a one-to-one discussion. Now, usually you'll be using a lot of words and sentences, right, to speak and to connect with this person. Now, in this, if you start using mirroring techniques, now what is mirroring techniques is, for example, if this person is talking to you with the folded arms, then you can actually do that. If is the person is making a lot of hand movements while he speaks, then you also can copy that. Probably his is crossing his legs and sitting, so on and off you can do that. Basically, don't make it obvious. Right, the point is that don't make it so obvious that the person will come to know that this person is mirroring me. Okay, rather than doing that, make sure that you are aligned with that conversation and try to establish a rapport. Okay, it's invisible connection you'll be able to make with that person. This happens when, I'll give you an example. Usually when you go to any person and what wants to be there for like 2 minutes, it's a 2 minutes conversation, but this conversation goes on for an hour. Okay, how many people have you must have experienced this? A lot of people must have experienced this, right? You hardly wanted to have a conversation for 2 minutes, but it gets extended to 20 minutes or an 1 hour conversation. Why does it happen? Okay, because of this invisible signals the body sends, and that's the reason why it really connects with that person, and you really like to talk to this person for a very long time. Okay, it is a part of mirroring as well. Now, mirroring non-verbal, it's a non-verbal communication part, right? There's nothing verbal happening there. You can't just mirror someone without having a verbal conversation, right? So for example, if there is a verbal conversation, and that is where the mirroring will happen, but it is a non-verbal communication part. It is something that cannot be displayed as such. Establish a rapport. Yes, it really works out when you establish a very good rapport in communication when you use mirroring. Okay, why? Because it is a subtle way of doing it, and especially it's a way we can actually understand each other in a much more better way. Okay, there are some unknown conversation happens, and some kind of connection it builds up, and this connection really prolongs for a very long time. Right, you must be having some people who are very connected with you. Okay, and if you really want to establish this is very good for the people who are making sales calls. Okay, they're going and meeting people on appointment basis. If you start using this technique in the process, it will 110% give you results. Okay, because one-to-one client calls, one-to-one meeting, physical meeting, it really helps you to understand this particular aspect, and you'll be able to make it much more interesting for them. Okay, highlights of storytelling. Now, what exactly is storytelling? Storytelling is a concept which has been going on for many years. Okay, probably 10,000 years, 15,000 years. People are relying on stories. Right, now, how many of you go and watch movies? A lot of you must be actually going and watching movies, right? You must be liking the thriller movies or something related to. And there's always excitement to watch a movie, right? correct. Now in recent times there's a movie called Animal which has come, right? So basically, people are liking the concept of which is going on. Now some of you liked it, some of you don't like it. It depends on the reviews. But what I'm trying to establish is that any movie you go and watch, okay, now why is the producer or the director of that particular movie is giving you a teaser and a trailer? Okay, it's showing you first the teaser, then it is going and showing you the trailer, then there's a music launch, and then the actual movie is released. Okay, because they want you to establish the connection with the movie prior, right? So basically, they will give you a gist of the information about that. This is the story about a boy. This is a story about a love story. This happens here. This happens where. So basically, you come to know in like 1 2 minutes of the trailer that what is this movie is all about. Okay. And then you actually make a decision of going and watching a movie. Correct. Now, why? Because stories sells a lot. Okay. The stories sells a lot. Why? Because everybody is, trying to be connected with the story for a very long time. And you can make a fabulous connection once you are understanding the storytelling aspect. So if you inculcate this aspect of storytelling in the process of communication, it will elevate the process in detail and you'll be able to liking it so much. Seriously, try it out. Okay, so discuss the narrative and capture attention and make messages memorable. Because what happens is whenever you have a deriving communication process, when there is a quote or something that you start off with, or for example, a lot of people, in a seminar or a webinar, people ask questions. So, how many of you want to become rich? How many of you want to establish communication? How many of you want to really enhance your process of communication? How many of you want to get a job? How many of you want to shift a career? Now, why is this question? Because questions opens the answer. Okay, if you're one of them who wants to answer this particular question, then you know for the fact that you're making a good connection. Okay, if you see any of the adult is making any conversation with a kid. Okay, the first question he always asks a question. So, what is your name, beta? Which school do you go? Okay, these are the opening strike of a communication. Correct. So, since childhood, we've been trained to answer questions. How many of you agree with me? Right. So basically, in schools only they starts with orals. All right. You have to give the answer of the question. Right. Are you getting the point? You're making some kind of connection in your brain. Right. It's a bulb on moment for all of you. Yes or no? It is a bulb on moment because since childhood we've been trained on answering questions. Where you went, what you did you study, what did you study, okay, explain this, answer the following, fill in the blanks, right? Every time there is questions in the school and we are bound to answer them. Yes or no? If we don't answer the question, we don't get marks. Right? So questioning and in storytelling, it's basically really helps out in building a good rapport. We're creating craft of a compelling story, which is basically offers you in one of this. Share the framework of creating engaging narratives. Now, offering exercises of viewers of practice incorporating in communication is the same process. What I explained you just much more before. Okay. Now, basically, what happens is if you look at this part of narrating stand-up comedy art, okay. So basically, if you look at a person who's giving is a stand-up comedian, okay. Now he's going on the stage and delivering the content to you, okay, and he's making you laugh. Now making people laugh is the most difficult aspect. Right. So basically, in comedy, it is very essential that you make that connection with people. So basically, if this person, a comedian who's on the stage and trying to establish a connection with the audience, what we'll do before telling you the joke, he will build the craft. He will build the craft. He'll tell you, okay, fine, this is a scene from a wedding wherein this doula is coming from this particular angle and he's waiting there, he's looking at it, he's sitting down. He'll narrate you this before that joke happens. Why? Because your brain will start forming images in your head. Okay, this is a scenario, right? So you go across and listen to any comedian who's talking on the stage. He will always try to build some curiosity in it, right? By making you think in a certain way. That happens in the storytelling a lot. right? So basically, it builds a kind of character, and we always try to visualize in images, and that's the reason why you're able to make that connection. So basically, he's not talking to you now; he's talking to your brain, right? So, guys, if you utilize this process, what I told you just now in the communication, in including everything, this will definitely be a game changer for all of you. Why I'm telling you is that because I've personally experienced this. I've been, speaking to many audience, probably 10,000, 20,000 audience must have spoken on the stage as well. If you apply this while you're communicating with one to one or one to many for that matter, it will really give you a very good impact. I hope this content was very clear to all of you. And if you're new to the channel, please make sure go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon. Why? Because you don't want to miss out this on this beautiful content what I'm making you. Thank you. Bye bye.